back to another episode where you're so happy to have you guys here with us. We are your hosts, Marissa and Bridget, and today we're diving into a topic that's been reshaping the way we work, the benefits of remote work. Woo! Over the past few years since COVID, the traditional office setup has undergone a significant transformation. This has been the rise of remote work, accelerated by technological advancements and global events. This has revolutionized how we approach our professional lives. What was once considered a perk for a select few has now become mainstream option. So how do we all feel about this? We're going to dive into this and we're going to discuss this. So with flexibility and freedom, let's talk a little bit about that. Obviously, one of the best benefits of remote work is the flexibility it affords, especially if you have a family. That's very important and it means a lot to you to be able to have that flexibility. You're no longer bound by rigid office hours, commutes. We all know that's hard, especially if you're commuting into a city. And the employees can tailor their work schedules to suit their individual needs and preferences. And I think overall, this increases life satisfaction. That's important for mental health. Making your own schedule around your family and your needs just really lets the ball be in your court. And I think overall, if you're happier, you will also be a productive worker. So whether it's starting your day later to accommodate personal commitments or you want to take a break throughout the day to recharge, remote work empowers individuals to take control of their time like never before. And it extends beyond scheduling. It allows you to create a personalized work environment that fosters productivity and creativity, which is important. So you could set up like a cozy home office or find inspiration at your local cafe. A lot of people love that. And you now have this freedom. And we are now getting to choose things that we never have before in the workforce, and it's shaping it.
Yes, I love talking about this because I feel so left out of it. But I would just like to say we don't live to work. You work to live. At the end of the day, you might have a very meaningful and fulfilling career that you're proud of, and kudos to you. But it is actually just a paycheck. Like we work literally just to make money to afford things. So if that means you need to shift your hours, you need to start later or start earlier so you can finish earlier to make that work for your family, you should have a supportive work environment that allows you to be flexible like that because it is just a paycheck. It's just a means to pay the bills, regardless of how important your career is. That's why you have a job, right? Like it's just to be a productive adult and pay bills.
Absolutely. I mean, in the end, aren't we all just living on like a floating rock? Like, it's not that
Yeah.
serious. It's not that serious.
Yeah. So if someone's like, no, you have to do a 9 to 5 or an 8 to 6, you have to be in the office. Why?
Absolutely. I think it's interesting in this podcast session because you have two people from different ends, right? You have Bridget's the doctor. It is definitely probably never going to be work from home with surgeries and everything. And then I'm a therapist that, although therapists do have in-person options, I have personally chosen for me and my personal life and my family to make a priority that I would like to work from home, and which I have since I've created my practice. And I'm grateful and thankful for that I have that option. What I would love to know, Bridget, since it's really kind of never been an option for you, how have you felt seeing the revolution of people get that option and you not?
Yeah, so I think it's great, and I think I would actually thrive in a work from home environment, but I'll touch on that in a second. I'm so jealous. But I will say for people who don't work from home, if you have to go into the office, we totally appreciate others working from home because it stops all the commuter traffic. Usually Mondays and Fridays, people choose, like if you're in a hybrid work environment, they choose Mondays and Fridays to work from home for obvious reasons. And those days are great for people who do have to commute in because the traffic is just reduced tenfold and it's nice and easy to drive. You're not so stressed. So a hybrid environment or a work from home actually benefits both parties, which is really important. But unfortunately, yeah, in my personal circumstances, I just can't work remotely, although I totally wish I could. And I am like a self-starter. So I wake up, I get my stuff done. I rarely procrastinate. I mean, I know we all do procrastinate because we're humans, but that's just not really my personality type. So overall, I don't really struggle to find internal motivation to work from home. So it would be so ideal for me. It's just
Mm-hmm.
not my reality right now. Unfortunately, you have to go into the hospital to get things done.
Yes.
But since COVID, there have been openings for remote doctors, especially in family medicine. So, general practice, family medicine, it's the same thing. So, over the past couple of months, though, I've been hearing some whispers that those job roles that were open in COVID and now have been open for 4 years are actually being taken away. So,
Wow.
they're going to reduce these roles and try to bring people back into the office, which is unfortunate because of a lot of them
Mhm.
Like, that has become their reality, and they've made it work for them and their families. Some of them are caretakers for their parents, children, etc. So it makes sense for them. It's really disappointing, actually, but yeah, I've heard some whispers from multiple sources, actually, that they are reducing those work from home roles. So it's usually like telemedicine. You need a family doctor, you have a weird rash or something, you wake up, you book an appointment online, and it's just over your smartphone. You basically FaceTime with the doctor so they can see what you're talking about, and they diagnose you, and they can send meds to your pharmacy if they need, which is really convenient for everyone involved, but unfortunate.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah, it's just so convenient, which one of the best things about remote medicine is seeking psychological help from the comfort of your own home.
Yes, absolutely. And that is unfortunate because obviously, like you said, they became accustomed to it. This is something that maybe they thought was a good long-term fit for them. I can't even imagine being in the position because for me, I have gotten very comfortable. I have my routine, I have my schedule. I like that I can make it around my kids' pickup and drop off times and any extracurricular activities that they do. I can be present for, like even parent teacher conferences because sometimes those have really bad times and not everyone can make them, but now I can make it so that I can always make it. And I can't imagine that being taken away from me. That feels a little rough there.
I know, I feel like we finally, like, cracked the code to, like, being a working parent. It's like, well, if you work from home, then you actually can accomplish everything, and now
Absolutely.
it's like, why would we end it?
Yes. I do see a divide though. I can't speak for the UK, but in the US, a lot of people that have investments in real estate, like the big corporate offices, they are
Mm.
heavy push for everyone to go back in because their investments are in that building. They're tied up. And they love to kind of say it's because of work culture and more productivity happens in the office. But personally, I disagree. And there are people out there that may abuse it, right? There's always going to be those few. But as a majority, I think it has been very helpful and it has great benefits. And I think that it is the right direction we should go in as a society. And it's sad that there are some places that are taking it away.
I mean, I would definitely say, like, it harps on the whole difference between, like, UK, Europe, and US, because as far as I'm concerned here, it has just enhanced the whole idea that you should have time for yourself and you should have that work-life balance, and hybrid working or working from home gives you that freedom.
Mhm.
In the UK, we have more paid time off in entry-level jobs. So my first year as a resident, I had 29 days of PTO, which I was like, "Are you sure? Like, is this a mistake?" Which it was inconceivable to me at the time. I was absolutely
Mhm.
blown away. And it's not uncommon for people in the UK and Europe to have 6 to 8 weeks PTO once you're like
Mhm.
at a higher level. So like my father-in-law has 8 weeks. I think my mother-in-law has probably 6 to 8 weeks as well. So taking time for yourself it's expect here. It's not, like chastised and you're not judged
Right.
for it. Like, yeah, it's August. Are you going away for August? Like the whole month. See you in September.
Mhm.
Emergency family time is also understood and respected here. For example, your childcare falls through the morning of, or your child develops a fever and you need to take them to the doctor. Here in the UK, you could call up the manager or your team early that morning, explain the situation and the fact that you need to tend to your child unexpectedly today. So, unfortunately, you can't come into work. And this will be totally excused and allowed because obviously your child comes before this job you have. So overall, there's just a more flexible and understanding culture abroad than in the US. And we understand things come up. Unfortunately, you can't be in two places at once. So it's like if you have children or you care for your parents or someone, that is really your first priority because who else is going to do it? You're a caretaker first, parent first, and then it's your job.
Absolutely.
And I just feel like that is not understood in the States, and that's why a lot of people are, like, so obsessed with getting you back in the office because they wanna take that flexibility away.
Absolutely. I have seen in my circle of friends and colleagues, because we prefer the work life balance and the ability to make our own schedules from home, we are almost leaving the workforce in droves. Like to the point where it's like I even created my own private practice. I was like, I'm not going back to work for X, Y, and Z, not happening. So it's almost like when push comes to shove, we're gonna get down to it. We're gonna make it happen. And some people in my circle have even said they've taken pay cuts over going to the office. They would rather be home and have more work life balance, more family time, and get paid less than be paid an astronomical amount and have to go in the office and barely see their kids.
Oh my god, same. Wait, so here, if you're like a doctor in training or not in training, you don't have to be in residency anymore. I think you could be like at an attending consultant
Mhm.
level. You could go, as of last year, you could go less than full time. So it's not quite part time. You might be doing 80% of the normal hours or 60%. You get to choose, but you could go less than full time for no reason now. You don't have to claim it's because you have children or you're a caretaker. It could be for any reason at all, and it will be approved. You take a pay cut, obviously. So if you're working 80%, you're getting paid 80%. Um, I know some people who have done it, and I have asked, like, is it worth the hit to your wallet? And they all say yes. And they don't even have kids. They're like,
Mhm.
it makes us feel so much better to just have that one day off a week, like a random Wednesday to catch up on life admin, laundry, maybe grab a meal with your friends, enjoy some sunshine on your face. It has made such a difference that none of them are going back full time. None of them are going back on. And they're all like, why don't you do 8%? I'm like, I'm not quite ready for that. I think I really need to squirrel my money away first and then eventually maybe do it. But I'm like, wow, not one of them regrets it despite the pay cut.
In my circle, not one has regretted it. They have been like, this is the best decision I've ever made.
It's amazing what flexibility can do. It makes your brain feel so much lighter. When you wake up, okay, so I rarely have work from home days. Like literally right now, I had like a work from home afternoon. So it happens maybe once in a blue moon for me. But I wake
Mhm.
up feeling like so much lighter. I'm like, okay, now I don't have to go to the gym first thing in the morning. The butt
Mhm.
crack of dawn. I could go in the afternoon because I'm budgeting my own time this afternoon. Oh, I don't have to pack lunch with me because I'm going to come home and make
Mhm.
myself a nice lunch. And, you don't have to plan your whole day in advance. Whereas normally when I'm working in the hospital, wake up really early, go to the gym, pack my breakfast with me if I don't have time to eat it, pack my lunch with me, pack my snacks because I'm not getting home till maybe 6 at night, sometimes later if I'm on call. So it's like my whole day is planned from 6 a.m. and you don't even have time to think about it. It's just like, well, I got everything I need for the whole day in my bag, and I'm gonna live like this, like a hobo out of my bag and go to work. It's just like when you have that breath of fresh air, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be home at 12:30 today. I get to work from home this afternoon. I'm like, oh my God. Oh, I come home, I did some laundry, I worked, I made myself lunch. God, it feels great to have that freedom. And it's like, I'm an adult. Why don't I always have that freedom? Why can't I always decide what I want to do?
Also, how I personally feel is we are not put on this earth to work ourselves to death. I'm sorry. We get one life, right? So, like, why can't I live it? Why can't I enjoy it? Why is majority of my life slaving away? I'm not subscribing to that anymore. I'm sorry. Unsubscribe. I
I
refuse.
know. I'm not a creative. Like I'm, not an artist or anything like that, like a photographer. But if I was, oh my God, that must feel so good to have that complete freedom and knowing that you could travel wherever and take your work with you and just kind of budget your time however you want. That must feel so good.
Hmm. I could talk a little bit on that because obviously my board requires that whoever I'm seeing through telehealth must be in the state of New Jersey, but I do not have to be, right? I could do it from anywhere as long as
Hmm.
it's a HIPAA compliant, no one can have access to the room or hear my session, right? So that allows me to work from anywhere. And that is really amazing. It gives me a lot of freedom. I do feel lighter. I feel great. You're right. There is a lot of mental load that goes into worrying about the next day, outfit, lunch, getting up for the gym, all of that, everything that your day entails, and to not have to do that, to just get up and be like, okay, I do that for the kids still, but once they're all dropped off and settled, I can just sit back and be like, ooh, deep breath, like I got this. The rest of my day now until my kids have to get picked up is dictated by me and me alone. It's very freeing.
Yeah, that is amazing. That's kind of why my long-term goal is not to be a hospitalist doctor. Like I don't want to do obstetrics and gynecology in a hospital because then I can never dictate my own schedule. Even at like the
Right.
top of my career, I'll still have like a manager who's like, you're in tomorrow. So my long-term goal has always been to have my own clinic because I want to dictate my hours. I want to make my own schedule. I want work to work for me. I don't want
Exactly.
to be a slave to my job. Obviously,
Right.
I'll do anything for my patients and I make myself available to them, but I don't want to be a slave to the office. And that is always why like I found such peace of mind in knowing that my long-term career goals are to have my own clinic where I make my own hours. Maybe I'll do a couple summer Fridays when the weather's good. Like I don't want to waste my life and then when I'm 50 I'm looking back and I'm like I spent so much time inside behind a desk working at a computer and for what?
Exactly. I think I could speak for the both of us that in our lives, we have had role models that definitely kind of were empowered by working and working really hard, right? To protect yourself, set yourself up later in life. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's smart, don't get me wrong. But unfortunately, you're working your whole life, you're working like a slave. And then the company really invested in you. And I feel like there's less now, like for employees to have loyalty to companies, if that makes sense.
Yes,
Benefits.
completely.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you want me to do what older generations were doing, but for less. No, I'm not a slave. No.
100%. Yes, it used to be like you stayed at a company for 40 years, you got the gold watch for retirement, and you were happy. And that company took care of you, and that's why you took care of it. That's
Right.
just not the reality anymore. Can give your life to a company for a few years, and you're getting almost nothing back. Maybe you get a few extra PTO days like sprinkled in there, and they're like, does that make you feel better? And you're like, no, like I need more. And that's why they're saying millennials and Gen Z job hop. We're going from one
Mhm.
job to the next, not careers, but one company to the next, and we're constantly in search of the company that's going to give us the better deal. And it's like, and why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I want to be with the company that's going to pay me the best, give me the best time off, give me the best health
Mhm.
benefits, flexibility, and maybe like cocktail hours once a week? Like, why wouldn't I want that? Obviously, I need the company that is going to serve me because I'm serving them and I'm giving you valuable hours of my life and my youth. Like, I need something in return.
Absolutely. I need a retirement plan, 401k, health benefits. And if there's no loyalty because there's no loyalty to us. So, yes, I
Mhm.
do have to do what's best for my family and I will job hop until I find a good fit. And companies can get offended all they want, but if you want them to stop hopping, start offering more. Start investing more into your employees, and I promise you they'll stay. Stop offering random benefits like, "Oh, you're upset, here's a pizza party." Yeah, okay, that's not helpful.
Yes, exactly. If you want to invest into your employees and your company, you need to give them the best opportunity to improve their own health and their own lives. And if you do that, you will form some loyalty and people will stick around until they figure that out. They got to spend money to make money. they're
Exactly.
they're going to be turning over employees left and right.
Absolutely. Trust me, employees will never leave if you truly invest in them and you value and appreciate them and you give them the freedom to make their own schedules. I promise you they'll never leave. You
Yeah.
know, they will feel appreciated. They will feel like they can dictate their own schedules. That family can come first, which is important, and I promise you they will never leave. Now, if they're leaving, you're doing something wrong. You might want to relook at things.
Yeah, so that actually brings me to my next little topic I want to bring up. So there's a study, I don't want to butcher these names, but it's from Canada. So Somasudram, Hackney, Young, Dew, Oakman, Nauruzikia, and Yazdani in 2022 published research following the pandemic where they surveyed 1,617 people initially and then another 382 people for the follow up interview 6 months later. And they demonstrated burnout, stress, general mental health, and job insecurity levels all significantly decreased between the initial interview and the follow up interview 6 months later. Sedentary behavior also reduced over time, and a better sense of community with coworkers was reported over time. What was the difference in those 6 months? Working from home because of the pandemic.
There you go.
Yeah, so people working from home actually demonstrated better mental and physical health. And so odd, better community with coworkers over time. And it's probably because everybody felt better.
Yes.
So everyone was feeling a bit more social and weren't just like, let's get back to work, Gary. You're like, you feel better, you feel lighter, and you're like, you know what? Actually, yeah, let's socialize, let's bond.
Mhm.
So there is
Absolutely.
research out there to suggest that overall employee well-being does improve quite significantly in a working from home or hybrid environment.
Absolutely. And for say with time off, right? Getting requested, what really
Mm.
gets me is that there's people out there that can say at least once, right, that they worked for a company and their time off might have been denied. Why is that?
Yes.
Why is because to me that acts like you think you own them. I like to say if I was ever doing that before I had my own company, I'm not asking your permission. I'm telling you to prepare the others, PTO, because I ain't going to be here, okay? So
Mhm.
funny that these companies think that they could deny you because you don't own people and they're entitled to their PTO. It's part of their benefits package.
Yeah. So when you do residency, basically, they tell you your leave should be approved if you give 6 weeks notice, and it should be approved no matter what. So if there's a gap in that rota, that's up to the hospital to fill it. You need to hire a doctor, come in that day, pay them. They need to fill that gap. And lately, what we've been finding is that the managers will be like, oh, no, sorry, like two doctors already requested off that day. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm asking over 6 weeks in advance. Usually I ask like 10 weeks in advance, 12 weeks. Like the second I find out I have a wedding, I'm like, I'm requesting time off. And they have been rejecting it. And recently, is only a few days ago, maybe last week, this big study came out. Surgical residents, 9% of them reported clinical depression, diagnosed depression. I can't remember the rest of the stats, but a lot of them are on antidepressants. Some of them are just in therapy alone. And one of the recommendations was, if I follow the rules and I request PTO 6 weeks in advance, like you say, you cannot deny it. That should be a thing now. It should be a blanket statement. I'm requesting it 6 weeks in advance. I'm telling you when I have a wedding or a family commitment, a holiday, or you know what? F that. I just want to go away. You should have to say yes, and you have to fill that gap. That is literally your job. You are the manager here. Fill that
Exactly.
gap. You have 6 weeks to do so. Good luck.
Well, I love to say your inability to prepare doesn't constitute an emergency on my part. Sorry.
Yes. Why do I have to come in? Because you can't fill that gap.
6 weeks is giving them plenty of time to prepare. Don't kid yourself. That is enough time.
Yeah. Reading the study really blew my mind. I was working nights last week, and this kid I work with, Zach, he showed it to me, and I was like, "Oh my god!" Or no, did I show him? I don't know. I was delirious. It was nights. I think I showed him, and I was like, "Oh my god!" Like, this is absolutely harrowing. The amount of surgical residents, trainees who report depression, broken down relationships. Over 80% of them reported that this job has affected their intimate relationships, inability to keep a wife, husband, partner, etc. Is really shocking. And it's all just because there is like no work life balance when you work in surgery. Unfortunately, it's just like, if you're signing up for surgery to do like general surgery, yeah, kiss your life goodbye.
It's sad because these are our frontline healthcare workers, right? What you guys do is amazing. You save lives, and we need that. And if you keep burning people out, you think anyone's going to want to go into this career anymore? But we need it. We don't want to be at a place where we're lacking that. That would be a scary world.
Yeah, exactly. I think they are going to be hurting for more competitive specialties like surgery. So for a while, it was like surgery was so hard to get a role. Everybody wanted a job in it. And this is in the past year, I think this is the first time they've actually seen the number of applicants fall because people are actively choosing themselves and their mental health and their romantic relationships and their youth over a career in surgery. So for the first time, we're seeing a bit of a drop in applications. And we think that it's not going to be as competitive as a specialty in the next few years.
Mm-hmm. That's really sad because obviously the career you're in is super important. It's super impactful. And, you change lives, you save lives, and things come up in the medical field all the time, right? Like there's always new diseases, new things that you need to find cures for. So the last thing we need is less doctors and less people in this profession.
Mm. It's a shame. We talk about it all the time. Burnout is like the biggest threat to doctors. So, like, as we've previously discussed, like your physical health improves when your mental health improves. So, if you could reduce stress and burnout, we could reduce the physical manifestations of these illnesses. So, changes in weight, lack of appetite, nausea, vomiting, heart racing, palpitations, stress ulcers, and so on. When people experience the symptoms of burnout, they're more likely to describe frequent viral type illnesses like aches, pains, fevers, lethargy. Burnout is associated with a higher risk of cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, job dissatisfaction, increase of long term sickness, absence, and permanent work disability. That's from the National Institute of Health. So, you know, if you're experiencing burnout, it's affecting your mental health, it's affecting your
Absolutely.
physical health. And now, because of your physical health is declining, you're taking long term sickness leave or permanent work disability. It's so counterproductive, all because you're trying to work more hours. You're actually now disabled and you can't work. And it just makes no sense. It's like the most vicious cycle, yet no one seems to know how to stop it. And it's like, nip it in the bud before you get to burnout level. People think that being a workaholic makes them more productive, but they actually are potentially taking years off of their lives and are definitely reducing the overall amount of time they can sustain productive work. So if you want to play the long game and you want like a healthy, happy career, you need work-life balance. This ensures a prolonged, productive, fulfilling work life.
Yeah. Just to touch a little bit on that, I feel like with workaholics and all those kinds of terms that are related to that, throughout my life, I've seen that that's kind of always praised, right? Like that's the goal. That's what they want. For
Mm,
me, I feel like that has been what capitalism wants you to believe because, they need worker bees. But I just don't really believe in that anymore. I have had people tell me like, oh, you only work this amount of hours. And they give me the whole vibe where they just think, you could be doing more. You seem a little lazy to be a business owner. But I don't, they could think what they want of me. My business is thriving. I'm thriving. My family's thriving. This is how I choose to live my life. And it's sad that you don't. I'm sorry that you fell for that narrative that you had to work yourself into an early grave. That's really sad for you. That might work for you, but it does not work for me. And I definitely do not intend to do that.
mm. I completely endorse like working, fulfilling work. But if your whole mindset is I'm just going to slave away so I can retire a little bit early, which nowadays is still like 60, like,
Yeah.
early retirement used to be like 50. Now it's like 60, 65. Like people aren't retiring before then. But at the end of the day, like that's completely your decision. You're capable of making your own choices. But if that's your motivation, you're still going to be 60 or 65 then. You're not going to be 30 again. You'll never get that back. You'll never get that youth back. And you will regret not enjoying the tiny moments you can while you were younger.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've had people kind of disagree with the way that I view the world, and similar to obviously what you and I are saying here. But I love to say, like, everything that you're saying about, like, no, you need to work harder, I've literally proven to you. Because in your mind, if I don't work hard enough, how could I have been an owner? Well, okay, well, I'm an owner. So, all right, well, then you won't be able to have employees. All right, I have employees now. Now what? What are you going to throw at me? Well, overall, it won't be successful. All right, well, it's doing pretty dang good. I mean, not to jinx myself, but we're doing pretty good, and my employees are satisfied, and I communicate with them frequently, and have very open discussions about it and work life balance and working from home. So it's like they can keep throwing this stuff at me, but everything they say I disprove. Like everything that you think
Mm.
happened if someone worked less, I am proving you wrong. So what do you have now? Please throw it at me.
Exactly. Yeah. You just prove that there are many ways to get to the same outcome. Many ways to skin
Mhm.
a cat, like you could
Yep.
still have a successful business and be an owner and have employees and still manage your time effectively however you want.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Also, I know what we were talking about earlier about the companies and their office spaces and how they have real estate in that and their investments in that. They could
Mhm.
probably redirect these resources. Get rid of the office spaces. Take all that and put it back into the employees, give them more benefits. And the employees also get to save on transportation, dining, and professional attire. So they're saving money there too.
Mhm. Oh, definitely. I think the savings to people working from home because you're not commuting, maybe buying lunch out in the city, etc., is astronomical. That's why I'm really jealous of you guys.
Oh boy. Also, when I did back in the day, when I worked for a big company for mental health, let me tell you, I promise you I'm more productive now because I would just walk. I was the person that walked around the office and just chatted. I was that person. Because I was like, screw it. Because either I was the person who did all my work already and I was bored because I mean, I was like, I could prove to you I don't need 8 hours to do my work. This is ridiculous. Or I knew because it didn't take 8 hours, I would save it to like the last few hours of the workday. So the whole beginning of the workday, I would just be like, this is a social outing. This is great. So it's like I still got, but no one ever caught me or had issues with me because I still did my work and I did it on time and it was good. It wasn't, bad work. It was great work. But it's just I proved to you right there the 8 hours is ridiculous. I just don't need it.
I know. I hate the idea that in the future, I'm going to have more time with my colleagues than my own children.
Is that not sad? Like your family's your legacy and what you pour into it is so important.
Yeah, Merce and I grew up with a very workaholic environment. And I know people say workaholic all the time, but like truly to fit the workaholic archetype, like not many people do. But I would say our mom does.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And
Like work
I,
at the expense of all else.
I will preface this by saying there is nothing wrong with that. And I truly believe she does. If she enjoys that and it brings her value and comfort, fine. Because there are people out there, it's their personality type and they feel better by being productive. Great. That's great. Only issue I have is when a lot of people try to force that down your throat because that's not going to work for me.
Yeah, definitely. But we saw, like, I mean, again, it makes her happy, but we saw the not so great sides of it. Like, I would say when we were younger, like grade school age, I felt like mom was like this woman who made the rules, but had no better understanding of that. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, it was like, I don't know, we had no closeness. And it wasn't until I was in high school and
Mm,
she had many more employees and was finally able to like take a breath of fresh air that it
yeah.
like we developed a close relationship. And it was like, I'm sorry, who are you? Like all of a sudden you're coming to all of my events and she joined the PTA, remember? And everyone was like, I'm sorry, you have a mom?
Well, one of my favorite memories of our mom is when she would tell us, we were like one of the last, not the last, I won't give her that bad, but like one of the last to get picked up from either dance or cheer practice. And we would call her and we would be like, where are you? Practice ended 15 minutes ago. And she'd be like, I'm 5 minutes away. I'm already in the car. But you could hear that there was
Such a
no
lie.
wind or yeah, no car actively in the background. And you knew she was in her office. And we were like, you haven't left the
Oh
office
yeah.
yet, have you? And she was like, "No, I haven't."
Never left. Yeah, she was like, "I'm right around the corner." Never. So many
Never.
times after soccer practice, I was left there alone, and, like, one parent would always stay behind, obviously, 'cause they're not just gonna leave, like, a 9-year-old unattended, and they'd always stay back and be like, "Do you want me to call your mom's cell phone one more time?" And I'd be like, "No, it's okay, like, you could go." And they'd be like, "No, I'll wait with you, honey." Jerry, 20 minutes late, 30 minutes late, and meanwhile, this poor mom or dad is giving up their own time just waiting behind, and I'm like, "I'm really sorry."
It's hard because number one, she was in a profession which is very much you have to be present. You can't not be present. She opened it really before you could do like work from home things, like with the technological advances. So it wasn't even like it was available to her. So she also had to, like you said, she had to build her business up before she could fully take a step back and be involved in your stuff while you were in high school. So that is hard, so I don't knock her for that. I understand that. It's not like she had a job where she could be like, well, family comes first. And then eventually
Mm.
she did try to make it right. But it's hard. It's hard. And because we grew up in that environment, I think you and I are very pro work-life balance,
Yeah.
family first.
Yeah, definitely. I just don't ever want to, like, it's just I feel like it stresses her out all the time. Guys, like, no joke, she's 61 and she will still work until 2 or 3 in the morning on her computer down in her office. Like, that is a true obsession.
I'm like, please stop. Go to bed. Please go to bed.
Yeah. It's madness. Madness.
You will not catch me doing that. I'll let you know that right now. Never.
Oh my god, no way. I value sleep way too much.
Yeah, no. Also, in the beginning, she was heavily the reason when I opened my practice, she was like, you're going to have to take anyone that you feel that you can help in the beginning because until you get a full caseload, you can't be picky choosy, which I do agree with. But in the beginning, I was having someone come in on a Saturday, a weekend day, which I do not allow now. And I really wasn't happy with it. I felt like, I was giving up some of my family time and also that this was heavily influenced by my mom and the way that she did her business and she felt like mine would be successful as well.
Mhm.
And once that client successfully discharged, I never offered it again because I sat back and I realized that really wasn't something that I did for me. It might have been a little bit of people pleasing and giving my mom what she wanted to hear versus what, thinking, oh, well, she ran successful business. She must be right. But I took a
Yeah.
step back and I was like, you know what? This doesn't really fit with my values. And I'm no longer offering weekend sessions. And, if clients need weekend sessions, I am more than willing to refer them to people that I know have the availability and can help them. But, my ideal client does not fit that narrative for me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's just kind of like developing and coming into your own and realizing what actually works for you. And you come to that through trial and error. And
Yep.
yeah, of course, when you're trying to build a business, at first it might feel like you're working like a dog. But as long as you know that this is not my forever and I'm not going to
Right.
torture myself like this forever, it's just to build a business, then that's completely fine. And that's just part of being an owner. As long
Yep.
as you eventually develop those healthy boundaries and you're like, okay, I'm at a point in my life actually where I don't have to work like a dog. I still want to
Yep.
work really hard and provide for my family, but I also need to be the best version of myself. And in order to do that, I need some boundaries. I need a couple of hours. Like, I need to breathe.
Hmm. No, absolutely. So it is something I've had to take a step back and think about. And I just decided what was best for me and my family. A lot of those Saturdays, too, were spent like John got to take the kids somewhere fun just to get them out of the house so I could have a quiet session. And I just got sad. I felt like I was missing out. I was like, I want to go. I want to go to the park. I want to go get ice cream. I want to go to the beach.
Oh my God, which park? The blue park?
Yes, obviously the blue park, and our listeners have no idea.
I
It's a really great park in my neighborhood.
want to go to the blue park. That's my impression of my nephew.
And they're making memories, and my session would be complete by the time they come back, and he's telling me all these cute things they did, and the kids are so excited, and I'm feeling left out. And right then and there, I decided, sorry, even if I take a pay cut or I have less clients in my practice, that's fine with me. I choose family every time.
That is very commendable. Very nice.
Yeah. Not everyone agrees with that, of course. Everyone would see, some people see this differently, and some people think probably, well, she's messing up, and that's fine. Like, again, this isn't a one size fits all. We aren't saying, oh my God, you must have work life balance. If you truly enjoy working and it gives you purpose, you do that. All I'm asking is don't push that on other people. Let everyone choose what's best for them.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And maybe explore something new. Maybe because I used to definitely, because of the way we were raised, I was like, I would never have work life balance. Like, I'm going to work like I'm crazy to the bone. And then I became an adult and I was like, oh my God, wow, it's really mentally draining, actually. I could use a day off or so.
Absolutely. I was able to do that whole workaholic lifestyle in my mid 20s, without kids. I don't even think I had a mortgage until I was 28. So, I had a lot less going on, a lot less stress and bills. And yeah, sure. What else was I going to do? I didn't have to worry about kids or pets. So sure, I was willing to do that, work like a dog, but my priorities change. They changed.
Yeah, it has a lot to do with shifting priorities, definitely. I always thought I would never take maternity leave. I don't know why. I just, in my head, I was like, nope, I'll just maybe take that month off to recover physically. And then I'll just like, I want to get back in the game. And now that I'm pregnant, I'm like, oh, no, no, no. I'm taking all the time allowed that I can have because it's time that you'll never get back to bond with your child. And I do have a very demanding job, and so does my husband. So, this child unfortunately will be in a lot of daycare. So, like you have to seize that moment while you can.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And a little bit more on the whole working from home, it gives us access to global talent. Now, we can access talent without geographical barriers, and companies can recruit top talent from around the world now. I think that's a great tool to have. And you want someone who's the best for that role, right? If it opens up the pool to more applicants, that's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also we touched on it a little bit with, taking care of family and putting family first, but there's also a part of the population that working from home is very helpful because maybe they have a disability, maybe they have caregiving responsibilities. So being flexible and making their own hours and maybe even being home with someone they're taking care of, that's very helpful.
And definitely with the globalization thing, that's really common in medicine. Like radiologists will be on call from different countries. And I think that is so incredible because with radiologists, you are reading, imaging, x rays, MRIs, CTs from anywhere in the world. So it's not uncommon for when I'm working on a night shift, there will be radiologists from like New Zealand or India on different time zones where they're reading those reports and reporting on them. I find that so interesting.
That is, they can get access to doctors or whatever you're seeking, right? Like the best person for whatever you need. So for a doctor, say someone in your local area doesn't have the specific training that suits their problem or their diagnoses, and now they could see an expert in that is really going to be helpful for them.
Yeah, and because of technology, really, you should be able to access that no matter where you are. And that is incredible and really revolutionizing medicine, I'd say. But that's more about just like technology and the ability to reach other people. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. COVID was not good for a lot of people, but I will say it did give us this whole like work from home movement. And I am grateful for that at least. And for those who are taking it away from their employees, I really hope you reconsider, because unless it's like, again, like my mom was a funeral director, or Bridget, who was a doctor, obviously they need to be in person for their roles. Other than that, come on. Why do people have to come in? That's ridiculous. If they're getting their work done and you can see that it's good work, it's in on time, and there's never been an issue with this employee, just cut the micromanaging, please. Just cut it out.
Yes, preach, girl.
Just stop. Oh, God.
Let people live.
Let people live. I feel like I'm very happy with this movement. Obviously, it suits my lifestyle. I will not be giving it up ever. You'll have to take me. Wow. People are like, what is going on with this one? And obviously, Bridget mentioned that she would love this route if it ever comes available to her in the future.
Yeah, oh, I would love that. I don't foresee it for me with reproductive medicine, unfortunately, but that's okay. A girl could dream.
Right? So you could still definitely go off of work-life balance, though, where maybe you're only doing certain work days if you own your own practice in the future?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely. I've thought about that. Yeah, I would have to put some strict boundaries on myself, really. Yeah, to just.
Hold you back. Does Ted have to shackle you from going into the office? No, Bridget, no, stay home.
No, like you just, I don't know. I think you feel like you want to help as many people as possible in a short period of time. I'm kind of
Right.
known for being very fast in the hospital. That's like all I'm known for. They're like, she's really fast. And I'm like, yes, because I want to efficiently help people as quickly as possible. And it's kind of hard to like not fall into that trap, I think, of like you want to maximize your clinic hours, I guess, so that you could see as many patients as once. But I honestly, my brain is fried sometimes after a work day. And that's not helpful to me or my patients. So I
I
think in
agree.
the future, if I did have my own practice, I would really have to set some strict boundaries and make sure I don't completely overdo it.
And you have to remember, doing that and taking care of your mental health too makes you a better doctor, makes you more fully capable to show up 100%.
Yeah, exactly.
So like you said, it's a good dream for your future, like your end game. So it's good that that is an option for you eventually. I'm so
The
sad.
very distant future, unfortunately. Sad.
Well, but I think overall, there's more in it than what we've discussed. More information on working from home. What we've talked about is honestly a small blip of this whole movement. but these are definitely our thoughts. And I'm glad you guys are listening in. We appreciate you guys as always.
Yes, guys, thank you so much for listening in. Please like and subscribe and follow us. The handle is at Psychotic PY Podcast. That's where you can find us on YouTube and socials. So that's at Psychotic PY Podcast. Please let us know if there's anything specific you want to hear us talk about. We are so happy to answer questions and harp on comments and talk about topics that you want to, hear about, because we're here to serve you guys. We're here to educate you guys and have fun conversations. So let us know and we'll mention it in our next episode.
Absolutely. So on that note, take care, everybody. Till next episode.
Bye bye.
Bye.